Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the WIT podcast, a special edition where all of you get to meet the finalists for the South by Southwest EDU Student Startup Competition powered by WIT. You get to meet two founders today. They're going to tell you a little bit about their business, maybe give you some tips on how to be a young entrepreneur if you're, and especially if you're experiencing some setbacks. We're going to hopefully inspire you with this episode. You know, our mission here is to give you at least one thing that you can use in your personal life and one thing that you can use in your professional life, and just to really inspire you to do WIT in all areas of your life. I am rocking a vintage, whatever it takes, sweatshirt. We might bring these back. I love them. They're so cozy. All right, so let's get started. Okay, we're going to do a little rapid fire questions. We have two guests, so it's a little bit different, but we're going to make it work. Yesterday, we had 3 co-founders on, so we'll always make it work here on the podcast. So starting with you, Isabella, tell us, how old are you?
I'm 17.
And where do you live?
I live in Fremont, California.
Okay, and tell us, is there a show that you're binging right now on this holiday break? What are you watching?
Ooh, I'm always looking for new show recommendations. I'm in a little bit of a lull right now, but currently I'm rewatching White Collar for I don't know how many times.
So, and we had somebody on this show the other day watching Grey's Anatomy. They said for like the 100th time. And sometimes we go back to the shows. One of my go-to back shows, that doesn't sound right, is The Office. I can watch it over and over and over again. I love it. Okay. And what do you have like a go-to song that, like, if you need to, like, you're about to go do something big and you have to have like a song that motivates you or inspires you? Do you have one?
Yeah, I would say Dreams by the Cranberries.
Oh, all right. That's like my generation. Okay. And let's see, what are you doing when you're not working on your business?
So I'm a wrestler. I'm on my school's wrestling team. So currently we're in our wrestling season. So I'd be going to practice, going to tournaments.
I know 100% for sure that is going to surprise our viewer, that is the sport that you have chosen. So I want to dive into that a little bit later on in the podcast about how that became your sport. But my last question is, what is your favorite time of year?
That's a great question. Probably Christmas right now. I get to be with my family, go on trips. Yeah.
Are you on a vacation right now? Are you away
Yes.
from home? Where are you?
I'm in Los Angeles.
What part?
The Koreatown area. I love Korean. Yeah.
Yeah. I used to live in LA, so that's why, I mean, and it's massive. So there's a lot of different places that you can live there. Okay, let's jump to our next guest co-founder, Anshul. Correct?
Hey.
Saying it correctly? Okay. All right. Tell us, how old are you?
I am 16 right now.
Okay. And where do you live?
I'm from Sunnyvale, California, so in the Bay Area.
Okay. And what's your go-to snack of choice?
Ooh, I'd have to say like chips probably.
A favorite chip? You're walking to 7-Eleven. What are you grabbing?
Like the regular Doritos flavor, I guess.
Like the original nacho?
Uh-huh.
All right. Okay. And what about you? Is there anything that you are watching right now, like during the holiday break?
Not particularly. I mean, I guess I do watch YouTube a lot, but not as much as TV shows.
Yeah, I think I need to do a podcast on that. I'm hearing more and more, interestingly, from our male guests that they watch more YouTube than they watch TV shows. And that's not anything that I do at all. I'm just really curious. What are you watching on YouTube?
Ooh, okay, I've been recently watching this YouTuber called Mark Rober. He's like the scientist guy who used to work at NASA, creates these amazing like mini projects. It's pretty cool to watch.
All right. And I was going to say, where can we find you if you're not working on your business? It might be watching those YouTube videos, but what else do you like to do in your free time?
I like to build new things. I also love hiking. I actually recently went to Yosemite, in the beginning of the break, came back. It was great seeing the snow and everything. So hiking, definitely one of my favorite things.
Okay. So now that you've listener, watcher, I mean, a very small glimpse into who our guests are, right? Because these are just some silly, fun questions, but let's dive into your company. So let's start with Isabella. Why don't you tell us, like, what is the company, the name of the company, and what problem are you solving with your business?
Yeah, so our company is AUesome, AUesome, but we just pronounce it awesome. So we are a social enterprise that provides at-home therapy kits to children with autism on the autism spectrum. And our mission is to bridge the digital and physical world of at-home therapy.
Okay, so tell me what, and this is I'm putting her on the spot a little bit, but this is a question that I'm really wanting entrepreneurs everywhere, especially our young entrepreneurs, to be able to answer the question really succinctly is, what problem are you solving? Like, what is the problem that you solve? So we know what you do, we know what the mission is, but what problem did you notice that you're like, we need to solve this?
Yes, so we're solving inaccessibility to autism therapy. So one especially large case would be the expensive costs of therapy. So I would say AUesome is not a replacement for traditional therapy, ABA, communication therapy. What we're really providing is that not all families can afford the amount of therapy that is truly beneficial to children on the autism spectrum. And that's especially rampant in rural areas. So what AUesome provides is a way for parents to be able to work with their kids on their own without requiring necessarily the intervention of a therapist. So that gives children the continuous supported therapy that they need.
Okay. Oh my gosh. I was gonna say, that's awesome. Okay. Well, that's probably going to happen a few times on this podcast. Calling awesome. Awesome. But it is, I love that makes sense to me that is a problem, but how did you know, Anshul, like, how did you know that was a problem? What were you doing research at school? Were you in a conversation? How did you know this was an issue?
Yeah, actually, we have both Isabella and I came to recognize this problem through our own experiences working with neurodiverse individuals. So I think Isabella has her own story, but I personally, I work with neurodivergent individuals, and also I previously used to receive like speech therapy and really recognize the barriers. It would cost upwards of $100 an hour just to get some form of therapy, and from that we wanted to create AUesome.
So can you explain a little bit more to our listener viewer? You're calling the name you're saying is tell us so that we break it down for the person who doesn't know. Obviously, I'm not even saying it right. So
Yeah, for sure. So neurodiversity is like a concept that's risen in the last few decades, and it kind of involves like the concept of people with different and their own unique cognitive and communication abilities. And autism in particular is a neurodiverse condition that I believe 1 in 54 children have, according to the CDC in the US, and that limits social and communication abilities.
mm-hmm. And how are you working with them? An after school program? Tell us how you got involved.
Yeah, so I personally work with them in an organization called Friends of Children with Special Needs that even Isabella recommended me to join, and I just tutored a neurodiverse individual one-to-one, and I also was a part of Best Buddies previously, and there I also worked with the child and communication skills.
Okay, and tell us how you got involved, Isabella.
Yeah, so I've also been volunteering at Friends of Children with Special Needs since I was in 8th grade. And then that's where I really connected with children on the autism spectrum. And then from there, my family goes back to Chengdu, China every year for kind of a meet our family. We love Chengdu food, so going back every year. And on one of the family trips, I decided that I wanted to reach out to local hospitals around me and see if I could find a way to give back to my community and also get involved more with autism. So I was able to secure myself, kind of create myself an internship with a autism intervention program there. And that's where I really connected with these children and these families, because that program, the families who are participating in it, they weren't able to afford continuous therapy.
Mm-hmm.
So the program was actually parent implemented intervention, which means the therapists were teaching parents how to work with their children. And it's through connecting with these families and these therapists that I really discovered kind of what AUesome's mission turned out to be, bringing the resources, the therapy tools, and the activities that I learned in that program into our kit is really how my personal inspiration behind AUesome started.
Oh, I love hearing the why behind things and how we kind of get into the work that we do. Obviously, I have my own story of how I started my business, but a lot of it just comes from experiences and realizing where things could be done better and differently. So if anybody who's watching or listening, just pay attention to those things, those moments where your mind goes, oh, I wish this was different, or oh, that doesn't seem fair, or oh, I wonder if there's a better way. Pay attention to that, because that can lead to creating a business, creating a solution. So that sounds like what happened here with both of you is just you had these experiences and you decided to take those experiences. Notice that access continues to be an issue when it comes to multiple forms of therapy. I'm with you, Anshul. I had different forms of, I guess you'd call them like different resources when I was growing up, like in different support programs that I was involved in. But my parents were able to pay for that and get me into them. And I think I did something with speech for a little bit. I think I had a lisp that I was like dealing with. And then I also had like, I was falling behind in school with certain things. We're trying to kind of figure out what was going on there, but they had so many different, my parents were willing to find any resource possible and get that for me. And it's unfortunate when we can see in our society that that's not available to everybody. I mean, they say it's available. This always makes me roll my eyes is people say these things are available, but that doesn't mean that they're truly available to people. Like when it comes to cost, it even comes to access, like to get to places. I once heard about organizations like, oh no, we're open, like, and we're free to people. I said, yeah, but it takes like an hour on a bus to get to you. And the people that need this program, they don't, that's their transportation. So it's not really accessible to them. It takes an hour to go both ways. Okay, let's chat about what this actually looks like. So it's my understanding that it shows up as a kit, right? With activities to do. Who would like to tell me a little bit more about that? You both can give each other.
I guess I can expand a bit on that. So we have two components. We want to bridge, like, by bridging the digital and physical world of at-home therapy, we kind of bridge like a software component that we're currently developing and producing, and a kit. So our kit contains clinically verified therapy activities that we worked and made with therapists, professors from various universities like, Brown, Stanford, Harvard, etc. And then by finding these validated activities that, therapists use in their own classroom, we're able to make therapy accessible at home by sending these kits to parents. We also found that it might not be too intuitive to work on these therapeutic activities at home with these different activities. So we decided to also include these guidance videos that we're currently designing. We actually designed a few in the past that help the parent and instruct the parent to use the activities properly to facilitate parent implemented interventions.
Okay. So what I'm hearing, because again, we have this happen on the podcast all the time, is that founders talk about their business in a way that they are just so used to chatting about it. But to the regular person who's just learning about it, there's a lot of content that can come at somebody where you're like, wait, what exactly? So it sounds like you can get a kit in the mail. So it's a subscription-based model. Is that what it is?
Yep. So we can do one-time or subscription. We have multiple channels, but currently we've been mostly selling just one-time kits.
Okay. So a parent can go online, order a kit, and then within that kit, there are hands-on activities that they can do, correct?
Yes.
And they can do them multiple times. So it's something that they can keep using, right? It's not like a one and done.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. And then how much is the kit?
Right. So right now it's $15 a kit.
Okay. And that includes shipping and everything?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's a really good price point. Okay. And then is it something, I'm trying to think of it. I've done it with my nephew. I'm like blanking on it, but there's a subscription based thing that we do, and we get it's STEM focused. And so we make cars, we do all these different like things with it. And he's very excited when the box comes to open it and do it. Is that kind of what you're seeing with this? Or is it more that it's for the parent and then the parent introduces it to the child, or does the child get excited about this box of activities?
I would say definitely the child would get excited about the activities. Just to delve into maybe a bit more specific, so hopefully the listeners can get an idea of what the kit would look like. We have things that are really simple. It would be around your house, like clothespins even. That would train like this kind of pinching motion. That's really crucial for tying your shoelaces, picking things up. That's oftentimes a struggle for children on the spectrum, is those fine motor pinching skills. So that's just like a really basic example of something that would be in our kits. And then one of the activities we see children getting most excited about is we include like these push bubbles, and then that's something that's really fun. It's kind of like popping, the shipping popping that you get here, that even I love to play with. So it's similar to that, but especially for children on the spectrum, it can be really therapeutic to them. And then we also have activities that are like flashcards for emotions or communication.
All right. And how many kits have you sold so far?
Yep. So we started off delivering free kits because we wanted to really validate the usefulness of
Mhm.
our activities. So we have delivered over 210 kits. These include the kits that we gave away for free. And we also started a GoFundMe campaign and raised money for those kits. So we used the funds that we raised and then put that into really getting the families the kits that they needed.
How much money did you raise on your GoFundMe?
Yeah, so on our GoFundMe, we raised almost $2,000, and
Okay.
along with that money and prize money that we won from other competitions, we raised around $3,500.
Okay. And so you're able to, you use that money to then create the kits and then give some away. Are you,
Yes.
and this is just, I just think it's fun to talk about this, but I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot here, but I'm just curious about, are you having people coming and finding you and buying the kits yet? Or are you still in the, I'm getting this product out. We're giving it away for free for a couple of reasons. One, because we want the beta test of it, but also because people, one of our missions is to get it into the hands of people that maybe $15 even feels like a reach. So I'm just curious if you've had that moment of like getting those orders and those sales, because that's a fun conversation to have and we can talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. So currently we're a bit in a transition phase, developing like our software component. But for the most part, we did distribute these kits out, and we found that parents were interested in actually purchasing the kits. We had like a parent ambassador form and feedback forms that parents responded to, and they did say that they were interested in getting a kit for $15.
Have they done it yet? Or are we still waiting for our first like official sale?
We're still setting it all up.
Okay. So this is so funny. I think I'm hopefully this is going to happen more and more with this podcast, because there's nothing wrong with not having a sale yet. And I feel like sometimes entrepreneurs or people hesitate to say certain things because they're worried that it's going to look like they're not professional enough or they're not further along on it. And my thing is, it makes sense that people are still testing things or doing things or giving things away, like on a trade, or doing things so that you can get feedback from something. Like you can give something to somebody and say, we're giving to you this for free, but what we're asking for is, can you fill out this feedback form? Can you give a testimonial? Can you make a video? Like, I want the listener to understand, and anybody else who comes on this podcast, that wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey is absolutely 100% okay and good. Unfortunately, adults have, and adult entrepreneurs have created a culture where we're almost encouraging people to lie about, like, or to hide things or not share all the numbers or not do this because for whatever reason it'll look like, oh no, they don't have it together yet, or oh no, they haven't done that. And I say, why do that? It's so fun to, because then you can come back on the podcast when you've had your first sale and talk about that feeling of like, because that is really a cool feeling. I've had it. I did the same thing with my programs, gave them away for free in the beginning, beta test. But then when I got that first, I would say the first donation, which was outside of my friend circle and my family circle, oh my gosh, I was like, it was such this feeling of like validity. Like there's somebody out there that doesn't like love me as a friend or as a family member, and they are donating to my organization. Or the first child that signed up for one of our programs from overseas, and it was like, wow, we're officially international, even if it was just one kid. And I think celebrating those moments are just really important. And I don't think we do a good enough job as entrepreneurs, adult entrepreneurs, modeling to you young entrepreneurs the joy of the process, that like you can do it. So because I feel like even though I asked that question a few times, it was so hard for you to say we haven't sold one yet. And I'm like, that's so cool, because one day you will. You'll sell like 500 or 5,000 and we'll have this like moment. Do you feel that inside of you, or am I just making an assumption here?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that getting the feedback from like the positive feedback from the parents and even the negative feedback from the parents, and like hearing like their true opinion about Awesome has really been a motivating factor in knowing like our potential and our current impact so far. It's really like been motivating for both me and Isabella, like to continue working on Awesome.
Isabella, do you feel a pressure to like say certain things or not say certain things as a young entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think definitely. And also, I guess a factor is a little bit of a murky water for us because we have given kits away for free and then asked parents for donations. So it's sort of like they bought the kit in that they gave us the donation of $15 and then we gave them the kit, even though we didn't say you have to give us a donation in order for you to receive the kit. So it's not really a sale. So I think that for Austin, we did have quite a few of those circumstances. So for Anshul and I, we've been struggling, like what wording should we go with to describe how we gave those kits to parents? So I think that was one factor. And also I do agree.
Good. Yeah.
There's definitely that pressure there for entrepreneurs to kind of say, to admit that we haven't gotten a full official sale yet.
So this is I'm like, so, and listener and viewer, I don't like pre-game with like anybody that comes on the podcast. So this isn't like a topic that we said we were going to talk about. This is like real time conversation. So it'd be kind of fun to figure out what that language could be. So if I was on the, like hearing about your business, it would that you could, and you were saying, okay, we are a subscription-based model, or we are a product that parents can either purchase or they can make a donation like in exchange for a thing. I'm trying to think about how you'd want to say it, but I know what you're saying, Isabella, because what the wrestle is, well, they're not like, we haven't like charged them and given them an invoice and like, and then they've paid us, but we've done an exchange of some kind. If you're taking donations though, are you guys a nonprofit, or how have you managed to deal with that?
That's actually a really interesting story because we've gone back and forth about being a nonprofit, being a startup company so many times. When we first started our company, we were like, we're going to be a nonprofit because we wanted to give parents kits for free. And if our whole mission is accessibility, we didn't want to be a barrier to accessibility by charging people for our kits. So then we did realize that in order for us to be sustainable and have a revenue stream that would really allow us to have an impact and give the kits to more people, we needed to have a revenue stream, a profit stream, so that we can really give kits to those who have the financial difficulties and can't afford them. So currently we are a social enterprise. So we're going to have channels where parents can sign up and then tell us their financial difficulties, and we will give them kits for free. And then we will also have channels for parents who are willing to buy the kits and able to buy the kits. So we're currently a social enterprise.
Yeah, I mean, it might be interesting for you to explore getting a nonprofit arm there so that you can actually take real donations. And what I mean by that to everybody is, people make donations because, well, they care about a cause, but also it's a tax break. So if you donate to something that impacts your taxes. And so, but you need to be donating to an official 501c3. So then you can get that tax deduction. If you don't have that 501c3 status, somebody isn't really donating to you. You can use the language donation, but it's not correct because it's more of a gift. They might say that they've gifted you some money or they've given you some money, but a donation would require that you are a 501c3. I know this because WIT is a 501c3 and because I also have a for-profit company. So I've had to deal with all of this and like with an S Corp. I mean, I have to learn so many different things and I'm still figuring it all out. But I think what's really interesting here, Isabella, is that you could create something, or you could become fiscally sponsored by another organization that would help you be able to get that kind of tax exempt status. And people could, like someone like me, who doesn't have kids, who's not in need of that box, that subscription. Awesome. But I would say, oh yeah, I'll donate $30 and you can go give two kits away. That's great. But that'd be a great thing to be able to do for your organization. The people like me that are just inspired by what you're doing, making a real donation, then I get to go and I donated to a real organization and a nonprofit, and now I get that tax deduction. But you can also be a for-profit company that also charges for your things too. So there's a lot of ways to play around with it. I just don't think you'd want to miss out on people like me who would want to donate for reals. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I kind of went on a tangent there, but what do you, you're like nodding, Anshul, but I'm not sure. Are you like, does it make sense or is that interesting?
Oh yeah, I mean,
what are you
thinking? I think
thinking?
that as we were discussing between a nonprofit, LLC, social enterprise,
Mhm.
we also did have this talk between us, oh yeah, what about donations? What about revenue streams? All this there's so many ways that we can go with it. And I think that currently we're going as a social enterprise and LLC, but I think that a nonprofit is a thing we've thought about in the past, and that we still do discuss here and there too.
So that you can take the donations, because I think people want to do that. I mean, the other thing is, WIT is a nonprofit organization, but people pay money to be in our programs. We have multiple revenue streams. We sell clothing. We have college credit courses. We've got events. We've got all these different things that we charge for. And we offer scholarship support, financial aid to people based on the donations. So and I'm going to tell everybody, I've gone back and forth with WIT being a for-profit, a nonprofit, of this, of that I eventually just decided to keep WIT a nonprofit. And then I started an entire different organization that's a for-profit company that does similar work that WIT does, but more catered to one-on-one work with kids. But it's never ending, because you're always just thinking about what's the best way to hit the mission and the best way to make money. Because the thing is, there's no benefit to being an organization that's not profitable. I mean, that's great that the two of you want to give back and help, but you need to eventually keep the lights on. Right now, maybe your parents are keeping the lights on, but eventually you're going to have to keep the lights on. So let's talk about the goals for AUesome. What do you look ahead to 2022, and where do you see it? Tell us each, what's a personal goal and what's a professional goal for you in 2022?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get us started. I think for AUesome, like Anshul mentioned, we're in a transitional phase. So I think that this goes along perfectly with our discussion just now about nonprofits as well, because as we're working on transitioning to selling our kits, that's something that we'll have to go back to potentially, depending on how the sales go and how our marketing is going to go about the for-profit. So we're still all figuring that out, but that's one of our big goals for the new year, is figuring that out and then getting our first sales. And so far we've delivered 210 kits. So definitely increasing that number. And then another personal goal that's kind of close to my heart for me is giving back to that hospital that I mentioned my inspiration started from, because I know that their program is still going. They're getting new children and new families coming into their program every year. So a personal goal for me is to be able to give AUesome kits, maybe bring some back in our luggage on our next family trip after COVID, and be able to give those kits back to the families and the therapists that I've worked with. And I know that those therapists also have great opinions and suggestions for us. So it'd be a great way for us to iterate and improve our kits as well. And then aside from that, I'll be going off to college. So I'll be studying most likely in an entrepreneurial path as well. So I would love to bring the knowledge and stuff that I gained from college into AUesome as well.
Do you know where you're going to go to school yet?
Yeah, I'm still deciding, but I got into Stanford, so I'll be picking in the future.
Okay, so but is Stanford where you want to go? Is that have you agreed to go, or are you waiting to choose based on other results?
So I'm still waiting for other results, but I mean, I'm in the Bay Area. I think that it's hard to argue with California weather. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, congratulations. I always think, if that's someone's dream school, people have their own different dream schools. So that's why I was I don't know, is this a dream school for you? Is this where you wanted to go? So congratulations if that was a choice for you. We have actually had a lot of WIT teens go to Stanford. So if you end up going there, let me know and we'll make some fun introductions. I want to just also applaud you for your honesty on sharing with the people that you are wrestling with trying to figure out the best structure for the company, because I think that when we admit that we do those kind of things and that there is some messiness as we're building a business, it allows other people who are listening to go, okay, it's more relatable. They go, oh my gosh, okay, so even these people that are making it to a competition, or they seem so farther ahead than I am, they also are struggling with trying to figure things out. And that's just really real. And I like to normalize that's what it's like as an entrepreneur. There's there's always something. And so thank you for being that honest. And it also, your honesty opens it up for people to reach out to mentor you and give you advice. When we tell people what we're struggling with, it gives other people a chance to kind of be the hero and show up and advise. And so that's why it's also really important to put out there what you're needing right now as a company. Okay. Next, tell us what are your 2022 personal and professional goals?
Ooh, well, I guess I'm a junior right now, so colleges and that planning is going to come up pretty soon, so I have to worry about that. I also just hope to, because now that we're completely in person, I hope to, develop a bit of a better social life around me, just because it's been online for so long. It's a different environment now. Hope to work on that too. And I guess In terms of AUesome, I really hope to expand it internationally. Like we have people reaching out to us from the UAE and Canada to expand it to other countries. So we really hope to do that as well.
Well, you're going to meet one of our finalists for this competition because the finalists haven't met each other yet, is in the UAE. So maybe that's kind of a fun connection to have. And she's got a startup that's connected to schools. So that'll be fun. Maybe there's going to be some collaboration happening within the group of finalists for their projects. I just want to thank you so much. These are shorter episodes for the listener viewer, the ones of meeting our finalists, just because we're trying to give you a quick glimpse into who they are, and then we'll dive deeper with them post competition, because we believe very strongly that the coaching and the support and the guidance that our finalists are going to be getting over the next 3 months will really help them both personally and professionally. And it'll be fun for you to hear from them again after we go on this journey together. Final thoughts for the young entrepreneur who's listening and watching, and maybe they're struggling and they need some motivation, or maybe they need some tips on how to handle a setback, or maybe they just want to hear from you, like what keeps you going during like the times that maybe aren't as easy. So go ahead and kick us off, Isabella.
So the first thing I want to do is thank WIT and of course the competition. I'm so excited to meet all the finalists. We've had a few of the communications. One of the finalists started connected us all to each other. So super excited to meet and work with everyone. And also really excited to get trained by WIT. I can already tell that I'm going to grow so much. And I guess that connects to my advice for anybody listening. I think that one of the best way that I grew as an entrepreneur is by talking to more people. I don't think I would have gotten nearly as close to where I've got without talking to professors, without hearing about their advice, meeting other entrepreneurs, meeting other teen entrepreneurs, meeting the neurodivergent individuals that inspired me to get so connected to neurodiversity advocacy. So I would encourage everybody, if you're struggling, go talk to somebody, go talk to people who you think you look up to. I know you send out more emails, some people won't respond, but there's always people who will. So that's my biggest advice.
I love that. Okay, go ahead. What are your final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess along with as what Isabella said, I guess it's stay organized. I know that for me too, it's gonna be really stressful having to handle school stuff outside of school, extracurriculars, your company, etc. And I think that really is staying organized, using the G Suite, Google Calendar, Google Keep has saved my life, because I know what I'm doing next, and having a direction and having a sense of what you're gonna do every single morning really does help a lot.
Those are really good tips. And I'm with you on that. I mean, you notice that even with booking this podcast and things, I live by the calendar. It's the best thing that I've done. Cause I'm with you. That can be so scattered and days look so different. And plus as a teen entrepreneur, you're juggling a lot of different things. I work full-time on my business, but all of you are, part-time hustling on your businesses while also going to school and balancing that social life, which I'm so grateful you brought that up, because that's also been something that I've been thinking about for our young people is I just want you all to be able to be with each other in person again and interact. And I find it to be such a double standard. I'll go visit schools and the kids are socially distanced and have masks on, but then I just go to a cafe, right by that school, and all the adults are sitting at the cafe without their masks on and right next to each other and working on their laptops. And I'm like, why can't our kids just live like the adults are living? This is so weird. So I'm hoping that in 2022, that brings a lot of community and connection for all of our young people. Thank you for coming on today. Thank you for being part of this quick interview chat. I have to say it's awesome is awesome. I'm so impressed and inspired by what you're doing. And I just can't wait to learn more as we work together over the next few months. And I can't wait for people in Austin, Texas to hear your story from the stage. And to those watching and listening, tell them where they can find you. How can they follow along on your journey?
So we have an Instagram at awesome.co where you can check everything out. And also we have a website, also awesome.co, that you can check it as well.
And can you just spell it again for them so they know?
Oh, AUesome.co.
So check them out, follow along. And if their mission inspires you and you'd like to get involved or figure out how to get kits to people or maybe even donate, reach out to them on their direct message on Instagram and get connected. And they'll be posting their journey to Austin on their Instagram. And so that might inspire you as well as you see them hit that stage at the competition. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. And wherever this finds you, I hope it finds you making it a great day. And if it's not a great day, just remember you're one choice away, one action away from turning that day around, and maybe consider going and showing up for somebody else, doing something kind for somebody else, maybe just thanking our two guests and their DMs for joining us. That always kind of like lifts your spirits when you show up for other people. So keep doing WIT, and thanks again for listening to this episode.